gonna go over on this third week, the almost last week of classes. Um, we're gonna go over different things. Okay, you're gonna start using future tense, which you already have learned how to use the future, saying voy a comer, right? The ir plus a plus infinitive that talks about the near future. Something that is important for you to understand is that um, there's countries where we use more ir plus a plus infinitive more than the future tense, okay, which you are learning this week. But there are other countries where you'll see that much more, okay? Something that is very important for you to know and to understand is that the future and the conditional are formed exactly the same, okay? They're very easy because you use the complete verb, right? If you have comer, you have the verb comer and the ending, okay? You don't have to drop the er and then put the endings. You don't have to do that for these. You just use the complete verb plus the ending. The same irregular verbs for future are going to be the same irregular verbs for the conditional, okay? So um if you have, like, for example, tener is tender, right? And it's going to be tendré, tendrás, tendrá. That would be for future. For conditional is tendría, tendrías, tendríamos, right? So just remember that, okay? You use the complete verb when they are regular. For the irregulars, you just have to memorize those few verbs that are irregular, okay? And the stem change in at the beginning, right? The tener, tender, right? Venir, vendre, okay? Um, you'll see a list in on the book, okay? Just remember. Something that happens a lot with conditional is that you're going to be using you have the ia, right? Do you remember with the imperfect you have ia also in the er and the ir, okay? You have that ending. But a good way to recognize these two is if you see the full verb, is that it's going to be conditional. If you see the verb minus the er or ir, is going to be the imperfect, okay? So pay attention to that, okay? um I'm going to share my screen, okay? And I'm just going to show you visually what it is, right? So if we have comer in verbs like future and conditional, okay, it's the same verb, so it's yo and then comer and then the ending, comería. Uh, well, this is the future tense, so it's yo comeré. Okay, tú comerás. Okay, él comerá. Okay, so just pay attention to those endings. Okay, um, the endings are the same for all verbs. Okay, so bailar is bailaré, bailarás. Okay, they have the same endings. The same thing happens with the conditional. You're gonna use the whole verb, right? And then you're gonna put ia, ias, íamos. Okay, just a reminder. Okay, you're gonna see that on the book. Tener is tender plus the ending. So tendría for conditional, tendré for the future. Okay, so um, pay attention to the endings for the beginnings of the irregular verbs. Okay. Um, for the perfect, you have future perfect and you have conditional perfect. Okay. Conditional and conditional perfect are usually used in C clauses. okay, which you're going to see next week. C clauses is like if, C is if, okay? C with an accent is yes, C without an accent it's if, okay? So if I won $1,000, what would I do? Okay, so you use a condition, right? And what you would do in that condition. So it's not very common to use conditional without another thing happening, right? So just so you know that, okay? So I'm going to tell you about the future perfect first. Okay, something important. Remember, it's a perfect tense, so you need haber and you need a past participle. Okay, so for example, yo, and if it's comer, right? So yo habré comido. Tú habrás comido. Remember the past participle stays the same for each subject pronoun, okay? There is no change in the past participle. Where you'll see the changes in the verb haber, okay? Um, the future tense, the future perfect, so this is us, right? And we have the past and we have the future. It's very similar to past perfect. Okay, so you need an event, but this event has to be in the future, right? And what would you have done by that date? Okay, so for example, and it doesn't have to be future in a really long future, it could be a really near future, like in an hour I will have finished my homework, for example. Okay, so it could be in dentro de una hora habré terminado mi tarea. Okay, so here the event is in an hour, right? And what will have happened by that time. Okay, so just pay attention to that. Okay, you always need an event and what will have happened by then. We use that a lot with dates, like for example in 2022 I will have graduated. In a week. Okay, so we use a lot dentro de en el año 2022. Okay, antes de, right? Before that, I will have done this. Okay, conditional perfect is usually, as I said, is usually used with C clauses. Okay, so you will see that next week. Okay, um, there has to be a condition, right? The C clauses are divided in the C clause and the main clause. Okay, so depending on what you have it on, what is what you're going to be using. So in the conditional perfect, you're going to be using past perfect subjunctive. Okay, but for now I'm going to tell you. So conditional perfect, and I'm going to repeat myself so you remember. Perfect tenses need the verb haber and past participle. Okay, the same thing. If I'm using comer, it's going to be comido for all subject pronouns. So yo habría comido, tú habrías comido, él habría comido. Usually we use this when it's something I would have done, but I didn't. Okay, So, for example, if your friend tells you, I ate 10 tacos, right? I would say, yo habría comido cinco. I would have eaten five, but I didn't. Okay, so when you're using this is usually something that you didn't do. Okay, somebody did something different. Okay, okay, so that is with conditional perfect. Okay, another thing that you're gonna see during this week is past subjunctive. Okay, the past subjunctive is going to remind you about preterite. Okay, so if you don't have your preterites in order, start practicing, because every verb goes with, so I'm going to write it here. Okay, so for example, if we have hablar, okay, we're going to use, so we have yo, tú, I'm not going to put, well, I'll put the accents, él, nosotros, vosotros y ellos. We're going to use this, the ellos, for this. Okay, so usually the verbs end with ron there. Okay, so for example, if it's hablar, es yo hablé, tú hablaste, él habló, nosotros hablamos, vosotros hablasteis y ellos hablaron. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to get rid of the ron. Okay, and then you're going to add the endings. Okay, so it's very important that you have the preterite very clear, right? And that you know how to conjugate in preterite in order to understand this. Okay, every irregularity that you see in preterite is you're going to continue having it. So for example, the seed, remember, the verbs with seed changed to j, so dij, right? So dijeron, so you're going to drop the ron, so it's dijera, dijeras, right? Just remember that. Okay, preterite is going to haunt you if you don't have it down, so practice it. Write it on your study guide if you need that review. Okay, it's going to help you a lot. Okay, and the last thing is past perfect subjunctive. Okay, both of these, past perfect subjunctive and past subjunctive, you need the same structure. Okay, you need the main clause, the connector, and the subordinate clause. Okay, so the thing that is going to change is that the things that triggered the subjunctive before are going to be the same thing that trigger the subjunctive in the past subjunctive and the past perfect subjunctive. The only thing is you're going to see here, okay, you're going to see here that things are or in preterite or imperfect. Okay, and then you use the past perfect subjunctive. Okay, one example, let me give you an example. Right, I say espero que tengas un buen día. I hope you have a good day. If you think about it, I'm hoping right now that in the future, okay, or in this near future, I hope you have a good day. When you're using past subjunctive, esperaba que tuvieras un buen día. And remember, tener is an irregular in preterite, so that's why we put tuv and then the ending, okay? So, esperaba que tuvieras un buen día. Here, I was hoping in the past that you would have had a good day, okay? So this good day already passed also, okay? So I was hoping in the past that you had a good day, okay? So that's the main differences, okay? And how to use these, okay? Um, with past perfect subjunctive, okay, there's a meme that in Mexico we use it a lot, okay, because a lot of times when we do something that we shouldn't have done, I don't know, you bought a car that wasn't really good, or you bought a house or something like that, we say hubieras or yo hubiera, right? And people tell you el hubiera no existe, okay? Which is how we conjugate the verb haber for the past perfect subjunctive. Okay, so hubiera, okay? Um, so we say hubiera doesn't exist, right? And so there's a meme because there's a lady that's called el hubiera, right? Like this, okay? That sounds like el hubiera, like the hubiera doesn't exist. So people say, well, it does exist. So it's a kind of like a joke. I'm gonna put the meme, well, the card on BB Learn so you can see it. It's kind of funny. Okay, so just remember this is something that you would have done but you didn't also, okay, like the conditional perfect, it's very similar, but this one is something that you lost your chance, right? And it's something kind of regretful, like that I should have done. With conditional perfect is just not, it's just saying what you would have done, right? It's indicating what you would have done in a certain situation. This one is kind of regretting that you didn't do something like that, okay? So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to email you back or have a Zoom meeting with you, whatever works for you. Okay. Have a good day. Espero que tengan un buen día. Okay.